So we've got the 4th devblog for our next major update, and god am I happy with it, the Blackburn Buccaneer S.2, fondly known as the Banana Bomber. This aircraft is one of those iconic British Cold War designs. It was used by both the RAF and the Royal Navy, although originally it was solely a naval aircraft with the somewhat underpowered S1 version. The S2, however, upgraded to the Rolls-Royce Spey engine, which gave a reasonable performance improvement, and it was subsequently adopted by both the Royal Navy and then the Royal Air Force once the purchase of the F-111 Aardvark was cancelled. However, many of the Royal Navy airframes were later transferred to the RAF once the carriers HMS Eagle and HMS Ark Royal were decommissioned in the 1970s. This, however, was not the end of the story for the Blackburn Buccaneer, as it continued to serve with the Royal Air Force until 1994 and notably took part in the Gulf War. In War Thunder, we will be getting the S2 version of the aircraft, seemingly sporting an early Fleet Air Arm paint scheme, although I am hopeful that we will see more camouflage schemes later when the vehicle is actually released. This S2 version is of course the variant that upgraded to the more powerful Rolls-Royce Spey jet engines, this actually being the reason for the larger air intakes when compared to the Buccaneer S1. The pros and cons section in the devblog does give a pretty good overview of the aircraft. Firstly, the pros are the powerful engines, the large payload, both air-to-air and air-to-surface missiles, and then being able to fly quite well at low speeds, with the cons of the aircraft being that it lacks an afterburner and that it has no internal gun. Now, the Buccaneer isn't exactly quick. It is of course a subsonic aircraft, maxing out at 667 miles an hour or 1,074 kilometers per hour, although as we do not yet know the BR that the Buccaneer will be placed at, I will hold off calling this a downside for the time being. Now, in the devblog, the main point of focus is the payload of the Buccaneer, and so it should be, as the aircraft is first and foremost a strike aircraft. It is said that the Buccaneer can take up to 12,000 pounds of payload between both its rotating bomb bay and the underwing pylons, although this number does seem a little bit low after looking at some of the bombs that are present in some of the preview images in the devblog. It is of course mentioned that pilots can choose to fill this payload space with either unguided bombs, rockets, or missiles of both the air-to-air and the air-to-ground variety. As for the specific weapons, I believe I have identified majority of them. Firstly, for bombs, on the pylons on the wings, these would appear to be the late 500-pound bombs that are also seen on the British Harriers. Then in the bomb bay, in all of the preview images, it appears to be the late-style 1,000-pound bombs, which are also present on the British Harriers, as well as multiple other late British jet aircraft. As for the rockets, I would assume that these would be SNEB Type 23s, as they are used by pretty much every other British jet aircraft of this time period in War Thunder. Now for the guided weapons, obviously the air-to-ground missiles are bullpups, AGM-12Bs to be specific. These of course have already been seen on the Buccaneer's predecessor, the Scimitar. Finally, for air-to-air missiles, these look like AIM-9Bs, and it is said in the devblog that it has early air-to-air missiles, so this checks out. A missile that is also featured on the Scimitar, the 9B, is very widespread in game, probably one of the more common missiles, although it is also one of the easiest missiles for enemy aircraft to evade. It's kind of not that good. But as the Buccaneer lacks any internal gun, you'll kind of have to take what you can get in regards to air-to-air capability. So that seems to be it for the weapons carried by the Buccaneer. I didn't really spot anything else worth noting. But moving on from offensive to defensive, the Buccaneer does have some useful features. Not only does it come equipped with a radar warning receiver, but it will also be able to carry a flare pod. Now, these two features will surely help when defending against enemy SPAA and incoming enemy missiles. The aircraft does then feature a radar, but no specifics are mentioned in the devblog. Well, there we go, the Buccaneer S2. As said, it is an aircraft I am quite happy to see. It is a very iconic British aircraft from the Cold War, and somewhat a personal favourite due to its somewhat quirky design. Obviously, the lack of effective air-to-air weapons will be a major shortfall of the aircraft, but when it comes to bombing, close air support, or its general ground pounding, I'm sure that the Buccaneer will be rather effective in-game. Nonetheless, that'll be it from me. I'm kind of just anticipating the dev server at this point, just waiting for that to happen, probably in a few weeks' time, so I can actually look at this aircraft, look over the payloads, and see what it's going to be like in-game. Of course, having flares is incredibly useful. It's a fairly large aeroplane, although I'm sure the maneuverability wouldn't be that bad from videos I've seen of the aircraft in real life. But the flares are very useful, and it's nice to see it get a flare pod that are actually used in real life. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please consider dropping a like, and if you wish to see more War Thunder news content or gameplay such as this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.